Welcome everybody to another week of Lions League action. As always, I'm here, I'm M&J. Unfortunately, I'm still not joined by Blitzy. It's really sad. I know you Blitzy fans out there would love to see him here next to me, but he's been really busy recently doing streaming stuff. So, I mean, by all means, check out his stream and stuff like that. But yeah, we've got some really good Counter-Strike action for you lined up. We've got the Royal Signals versus the RLC. And no, not the Rocket League Championship Series. Instead, the Royal Logistic Corps. So, should be a pretty good matchup. Historically, the Royal Signals have been one of the better sides in the Lions League. So, I think that definitely this series sways in their favour. But we are going to have to wait and see. We're not a stranger to upsets over at the Lions League. And, well, let's see how it pans out. I think Knife Round is just about going live, so we should be jumping into the pistol round very, very shortly. For now, though, just trying to remember some of the rosters over on this Royal Signals side. I think we've got the likes of Dan W, who is a fantastic player we've seen in the past. I think he's the IGL for that side as well, who has definitely led them to a lot of successes. Solrak as well, another standout player. I believe that Freestylers, who is a very, very talented CS player, did join this roster. I'm not sure if he's playing today. I didn't see him in the server when people were connecting, but he might turn up. I actually don't know at this point. But yeah, all in all, it should be a very, very good matchup indeed. So we're just I'm gonna have a quick look at the Lions League website and see the standings. I think the standings are updated. So if you ever want to check that out, lionsleague.co.uk, that's where you go. Yeah, August 6th. Yeah, so the most recent matches are on there. Let's have a look at how these boys are doing. Oh, that's me. I can see myself on the website. Isn't that interesting? Right, so Royal Logistic Corps currently yet to win a game. They're 0-2. One of the only teams to be 0-2. And right on the other side of that, Royal Signals A team are actually unbeaten. So this should be a relatively clean cut, I think. I don't know. We'll have to see what the Royal Logistic Corps can really bring to this. But yeah. Yeah, that's going to be our matchup for today. So I think we're just going to be jumping into the warm-up. I think the knife round's already done. I think they're just waiting on sides, I suppose. So here we go. We're live and kicking. Pistol round underway. The Royal Signals kicking off on the T side of Dust 2. Dust 2 actually a map that for some reason we don't see played all too often in the Lions League. It tends to be more swaying over towards sort of Infernos and Mirages. Yeah, as I say, we really don't see a huge amount of Dust 2. Let's see how this one plays out, though. Of course, the Signals early on, stacking up over towards mid. You can see this is a map that they've might seem to have some kind of set piece for pistol round. Look at this. They've thrown that top mid smoke. They're actually charging all the way down short. They're going to have somewhat of a pincer coming in from long as well. As that nade comes through, it doesn't actually do any damage, but it's phased watching the back lines. Does a lot of damage onto Pom Pom. Can't quite convert the kill, but it doesn't really matter all too much. As long as this pressure's being applied over on Catwalk, that's all that matters. And it's Richard to find the first frag. It does get traded out, and Salamander, a very nice clean headshot through the smoke to level out the numbers. A180 now coming in from long. Lands himself 2 kills. That Salamander traded out as well. And it's Pom Pom and Jack. And a 2-on-3 to try and clutch this one up. Pom Pom with a clean headshot, trading out A180. Brings it back into a 2-on-2. Even as all things should be, but a lot of damage dealt on this CT side already, so it's going to be very, very difficult for them to get up onto this bomb site, especially with Dan W in pit. Jack has to find this frag, and if he doesn't, the round's pretty much all said and done. They're taking a lot of time here as well, with no kit to work with. That can also be very, very dangerous. Jack actually tapping away on site. That surely is Death Warrant sign now, as Dan W can poke up. This is all over. Pom Pom knows it. And that is all she wrote. Dan W gets himself that final headshot, his second of the round, and the Royal Signals actually play that 2 versus 2 scenario very, very well. Come out on top with the pistol round. I quite like that. The RLC actually did quite well to respond to it, get themselves a couple of frags, kept it competitive, but they just couldn't quite tip it over the edge. And actually, even when it was a 2 versus 2, they took far too long to get back onto the bomb site, so the time was really of the essence, and they just couldn't take it. This time, the RLC actually going for a full 5-man gamble stack over towards B, and well, they've certainly guessed wrong, haven't they? The Royal Signals have charged right up long, got themselves onto the A site, and this is probably a good opportunity to promote socials or CSGO Fight Night or something, I suppose. Make sure you're following us over at EFLGG on Instagram, EFLGG1 on Twitter. We'll have loads of updates over there about all the Lions League action and the Fight Night action coming up as well, of course. CSGO Fight Night, only a couple of weeks away now. Really exciting stuff. We've got all the teams confirmed. It's going to be a blast of an event. Jumping back into the round then, Salamander. But he's in a 1 versus 4, tapping away. His position is known. He might be able to catch out Dan W's on low HP, but it's not going to happen. Richard takes his head clean off. The Royal Signals take round number 2. They keep 4 players alive, which means they can go for a bonus round going into the next if they choose to. And actually, they've got loads of cash raked up because they got all of their kills with SMGs. So they can go for the bonus here, push in, try and go for maybe a fast B play with these SMGs. And then go into the next with a full buy. They're in a pretty good position right now. And actually, there we go. They smoke off mid. That was a bizarre mid smoke off because they were all on the left-hand side. So no one needed to cross anyway. I'm not really sure what that was for. Maybe it's so that they can go lower tunnels. They're not going to do so. Instead, they just charge right into the B site. Go for those early frags. A180 gets himself the first. But as Jack trades one back, it's actually back and forth engagements. We find ourselves in a 3-on-3. Fenris, the man who I got the pleasure of casting with the other day, eager to try and retake this B-bomb site. Typically, the B-bomb site's the B-bomb site on Dust 2 is actually considered the hardest bomb site to retake of all of the competitive Counter-Strike maps. And I think this is really proven right now. Dan W rips off the head of Fenris. One does go back the other way as Pompom's able to trade it. Looking for the second as well, but Richard not going to allow it. Now Salamander, all in a 2-on-1. He doesn't even have a kit to hand, so this is going to be near impossible for him to pull this one off. He knows exactly where Richard is, but as soon as he swings wide, A180's there to trade it. And the Royal Signals not only push in, get a couple of kills, get the bomb punt on their bonus round, they actually convert it. So the RLC now down to what will be a shaky force. I was expecting maybe an eco here. Instead, no, okay, they are going for the force buy. They're keeping enough money behind them that they'll actually be able to invest into the next, despite the fact that a couple of players have dropped very low. We're looking at like sort of 1,000 on Jack, 1,300 on Jake there. With the loss bonus that they've accumulated, they should still be able to invest almost fully going into the next round. And the Royal Signals, well, not going to go for another bonus. They are actually opting for the rifles this time because, of course, they only kept 1 player alive in the last. They've got plenty of cash behind them as well, so that they can actually take this round, which they should be able to do with relative ease, and then have a cushion behind them going into the next buy round as well. So they're in a really, really strong position right now. They charge their way up A long, looking to make this one 4-0. Fenris, this is cheeky, walking straight through the smoke. Oh my goodness, A180, why are you going for the knife in that situation? It costs him his life, and actually, well, if the shots would have connected, his teammates could have fallen there as well. Just leave Jake 1, last alive, a 1 versus 3. It's nice to see Jake 1's name in this roster, actually. Of course, he was someone that I got to play with in the first season of CSGO Fight Night in the show match. He was over on our side with Tyler, and I got speaking to him, and he just started talking about how he's really into Counter-Strike, but sort of his division didn't have a Counter-Strike team last season. They weren't in it, so he only really got to show his face in the I think the British Army match. This time, the RLC, of course, do have a team in the Lions League. This is Season 2, of course, so means he can start jumping into these games, which I think is really, really nice to see. So we're going to round number 5, though, an even matchup. fair buy from both sides, and ought for both to work with. Rifles all round. A lot of utility on the T side. It's relatively scarce on the CT. That's really the issue you face when you overinvest into the last round, like they did just a little on a couple of players. A lot of control taken by the Signals early on. They're deep in mid. They've got the B tunnels control. They've got that sort of long corridor control that, I mean, is rightfully yours anyway, but it just, by someone holding there, means that there's no wraparound potential from any long aggression. They're really just waiting out the RLC right now, but the RLC are patient. They're not getting aggressive. They're not trying to take any map control or anything like that. They've not taken any damage or lost any map control as such, so just going to play this one for the execute. The issue is they have 3 players over towards this B site, which is, it's a little bit overzealous. I think that in this scenario, if the A hit comes through, especially if Fenris dies here, that's it. It's all said and done. They've got such a long rotation coming over from B that this becomes near impossible to pull off. The CT smoke actually comes through, and it's looking like they are going to try and go for a mid to B wrap. Little do they know, they're walking into a 3-man stack. Pom Pom opens things up with the first, Jake with the second as well. Now a 5 versus 3, but the clock's too low. Look at this, there's 10 seconds left, and it's foolish to charge in here. Surely not. There we go. Second guess is it. Not going to push through. Signals have left this round way too late. This is not Tier 1 Counter-Strike. This is the Lions League. And to go for a slow default and then try to converge and... The thing is, this is something that we see in the Lions League, where they go for this slow default and then they try and converge and take some map control in the later stages of the round. The difference between what we just saw there and what you see at a pro level is that at a pro level, during that slow default, they actually kind of try to poke holes, they try and gain some information, they will take some control, they'll actually try and maybe go for an early pick, and then they'll converge in the later stages of the round and go for an execute. Because the issue that you face when you actually don't gain any information is you run the clock down to 20 seconds, and then you end up doing exactly what the Signals did, which is then push into a B site that is actually stacked. And you have no idea that it's stacked because you've not poked any holes. You've not tried to gain any information early on. This round, well, phased. A little bit over-aggressive there, pushing straight through the smoke. His teammate doesn't go with him. His teammate doesn't actually provide any support with a flash or anything like that. So no trade potential whatsoever. It doesn't matter. Dan W's got a refrag over on mid, brings things back into a 4-on-4. Minute 10 on the clock. Everyone playing quite individually right now. There's no trades coming through. It's every man for himself as they just try and find some openers. It's looking like Solrak wants to try and find that over on the A bomb site. Not going to happen for now, though. Dan W instead over towards mid. Salamander should be able to come out on top of this engagement as long as he plays his cards right. Still a 4-on-4, and the clock's ticking away. Again, the Signals taking their sweet time. It's a very slow game of Counter-Strike, and it's Solrak to find the kill finally onto this A site. Jake 1 does respond over towards B, but the issue is the A site's now taken. Solrak, another clean headshot onto the player in pit. That was absolutely clinical. Now the man advantage for them to work with. The retake has to come through. It's Jake 1 and Jack to do so. But they're a man down. They're both coming in from CT. They have the low ground, and surely they just get mowed down here. It's Solrak to find himself the 3rd of the round, trying to find the 4th. But he's unable to do so. Jake 1, last alive, doesn't really fancy his chances here. That was a funky flashbang. Not something I've ever seen before. Not something that was overly effective either. Bomb's still beeping away. He needs to find himself something here, but the angle's being watched by this orb. As soon as he peeks out, should get taken down. The shot actually misses from A180, and he brings it into a 1-on-1. The issue is he's actually left it a little bit too late. He has got a kit, and he is going to go to the hole, but surely the spam comes through. He does find himself the kill, but no time left. Royal Signals, they'll take the 5th. Jake 1 potentially in that scenario. Could have wrapped around the box, could have tried to hold it. I think the swing would have come through anyway, and he probably would have been taken down there, but either way, he comes off of it, gets punished for it. The Signals 5-1 now. The RLC, they have invested into this one, but it's far from a full buy. No AWP on Pom Pom, instead down to a Scout. Jack down to the UMP as well, which is quite bizarre. That UMP somewhat by choice. He could definitely have a FAMAS with the money that he has behind him, even an M4 with no utility. I understand why no utility though, but he wasn't really able to do a whole lot with it. Instead, they just get completely steamrolled. 5 versus 2 now. They should just go for this save call. That's exactly what they're doing. Salamander and Fenris will be able to take their rifles into the next round, but, well, at the expense of another round adding on to this. The gap's now extended. The Signal's able to rack up more money in their bank. They're looking very, very strong right now. On what I can only assume is their map pick. I actually can't remember how, if there's a knife round for sides, or whether you start on the CT side on your map pick. I'm not too sure. But I think this is probably their map. So we go into round number 8. Oh, coming through A180 to connect the shot. This is just decimation right now. I mean, RLC, there's not really a whole lot of structure to what they're doing. They're trying to contest control one by one in various areas. They're not really supporting each other in any way, and therefore they're just getting mowed down. I mean, Jack, his teammates just died on short there. He should be very, very wary of short. And instead he's got his back straight to it. There's no one there to help him. And another early save call comes through from the RLC. 5 players still alive for the Signals. There's nothing that the CTs can do to bring themselves back into this round. So they're just going to allow their opponents to extend the gap further, keep all their rifles, continue to build up their bank, which is a very, very dangerous thing to do at round number 8. You essentially allow them to set themselves up for the rest of the half. We will be going 7-1. I'm quite surprised that the Signals, based off the money in their bank, aren't hunting further here, or didn't start hunting earlier on. Means that the RLC should be able to save these weapons into the next. Okay, dangerously close. They might be able to spot out Jake 1. He does actually come out on top. So the rifles are saved into the next round. It's Jake 1 and Pom Pom to bring the M4s across. Means that they can drop them as well, and they'll be able to pull out a half-decent buy going into round number 9, but the buy becomes irrelevant when you're not converting the rounds. And actually, not only not converting the rounds, but not putting any numbers on the board. Solrak, again. Aggressive over towards long. No one's on the corner. He capitalizes on it. Walks straight out. Pom Pom deals the damage. Can't convert the frag, though, onto A180. Whiff nade from Jake 1 as well. Really adds insult to injury in this whole situation. It's really just not looking all too great right now for the RLC. They're doing a fair amount of damage this round, but still yet to convert a kill as FaZe finds that one. Really just picking away at these defenses. It's not like they're getting super aggressive or anything like that. They're just playing these angles, finding those frags one by one, and just chipping away at the RLC. This round they're actually responding to it, getting these trades come through. Certainly winning these Angels, especially on these lower HP players. We now find ourselves in a 3 versus 2. The bomb's down on short. It's actually a really difficult one for the Signals to recover. Not really worth them saving here. I wouldn't be surprised if FaZe dies to this nade, which he will. I think A180 might try and save that orb. Gets himself that first kill, though, and that is going to give away his position. What the RLC have to be careful of is if they try and hunt him down, they give him a lifeline into the round. If the clock ticks down, though, Pom Pom just watching the backline, making sure he can't fall back to T-spawn. Salamander holding the bomb like a rock. Yeah, They played this perfectly. The RLC will be able to put their second round on the board. But the Signals retain the AWP. They've got plenty of money behind them to invest into the next round. And for now, still thoroughly in the driver's seat of Dust 2. Round number 10 now underway. The RLC, off the back of winning that one, are able to pull out a relatively decent buy, but well, their most expensive weapon in it's been taken out straight away by A180. The last line of defense on B now is Jake 1. He's able to get himself one kill, but well, actually, as he falls out of it, his angle's Molotov'd off. He can't do a whole lot more. Even his corner's Molotov'd as well. That's actually perfect from the Signals to lock him out when really he should be contesting in that situation. No chance for them back into this one as Fenris gets caught off, and this should just be another save call. It's looking like they are actually trying to regress further, want to find themselves another frag. Now they start to fall off. Oh, span through the door actually deals a little bit of damage onto Jake 1. There we go. Run away. Go and save. You've got no chance of retaking this B site. Not only is the bomb effectively too far gone, but you've got 4 kills to find. It's a horrible site to retake. The question is, have they gone far enough? Salamander's actually just tucked himself in the corner in top mid. As soon as they realise CT is here. Well, no, okay, they're not even going to second guess the fact that they're top mid. They're just going to fall away. They don't want to try and hunt for those rifles. They know that they're able to take these rounds regardless of whether the enemies have got a buy or not. So, yeah, they're pretty comfortable right now. 8-2, plenty of money behind them. A buy will come in again for the RLC. This time, no AWP available, and in its place, Jax with an auto shotgun. No utility behind him either. It's going to be a major deficit. Is he going to be the lone B player? He's actually playing B alone. The flash comes through. Royal Signals are trying to just rinse and repeat what's been working for them, and the auto shotgun's only good for 1 kill, so steamroll right into the B site, find yourself 2, get that bomb down, easy pickings. The issue is this time the flank's coming in fast. Sorry for the silence, rather anticlimactic, I had to sneeze. So, 2 versus 1, Jake 1 burning in the Molotov, down to 23. If he pokes through this smoke, he should get punished, and there we go. I think that the whole idea of that was to try and have some kind of element of surprise, push through that smoke, get yourself that early kill, but actually taking the ticks in the Molotov, his position was exactly known. I'm surprised he wasn't spammed earlier, to be honest. It means the Royal Signals 9-2 up right now. Looking very, very strong indeed. As we go into round number 12, finally, the bank of the RLC is broken. They haven't been able to save any rifles, and therefore no drops can come through. The nade stack does, though. 2 kills go their favour, and it means they've got a man advantage to work with. The issue with the nade stack is actually it meant that they had to completely give up the B control, which is where the Royal Signals have been going every round. So I think that nade stack would have been very effective over towards B. It was actually very effective over towards long, but despite the fact it got them a couple of frags, it's actually not going to get them a whole lot more than that, as well, the site's been taken by the Signals. If they can keep these AKs and bring them into the next round, though, that would be pretty cool. Instead, they're trying to contest these frags, which is relatively pointless at this point, because the Signals have got so much money behind them that they can actually just buy going into the remaining rounds. So by continuing to contest, they're basically throwing away rifles that they could otherwise be saving. It's looking like they are going to get away with it for now, though. Luckily for them, all surviving around 20 HP. At the same time, though, the Signals put their 10th on the board, double digits now, as we go into round number 13, and 3 chances to actually extend this further. This really needs to be a turning point for the RLC. If they can start putting some rounds on the board now, they can bring this back. We have a 10-5 half. We've still got a map on our hands. If they can't, the Signals take this 12-3, 13-2. There's really not a whole lot left for the RLC to work with. Looking like for now, the Signals are just going to rinse and repeat this B push. They're not even going to waste any time. They actually just charge straight in, find that initial frag. Dan W's found 2 off of the flash of phase. That is ridiculous. I'm not quite sure why the camera's not over by the action, but doesn't matter all too much. We're going to see a nice sort shot from A180 come through, and Dan W, well, he's just got a massive 4K. I'm sure he'll be watching the demo later. I'm very, very sorry, Dan W, but the camera was on the other side of the map. I'm sure it was fantastic, but I can't cast it today, unfortunately. So, round number 14. 11-2 right now is at the Royal Signals. The RLC, well, they're on another buy. It's a bit of a shabby one. They've not got a huge amount of utility on a couple of these players. Fenris down to a pistol, Jack down to an MP9. Definitely not the tools you want to be working with going into round number 14. They're trying to counter it with some aggression, though. I quite like Fenris's position. A180 is holding for it. Fenris needs to get aggressive now, though. He can hear Fenris fall. Sorry, he can hear A180 falling back. And if he tries to get in the back here, he might be able to get himself a free kill. Instead, he just holds his ground, and well, it's going to deem useless at this point as they push up towards short. He's now going to be a really late player coming from long with only a pistol to work with, and actually have very little impact in this round. So, unfortunate misplay there, and it means that actually him coming in from long, he's very, very late, and he should get spotted out. That's exactly what happens. A180 should be able to make easy work of him. Actually, the leg comes through. In the meantime, a couple of kills coming in through CT. Oh, come on, I thought that connected there. He's actually sitting on 1 HP right now, and this Glock just can't finish him off. Come on, this is painful to watch, and he actually gets taken out by Jack. That is unreal. Dan W in the meantime trades it out. There's no time for Fenris anyway, but he charges in nonetheless, and Dan W makes easy work of him. Of course, he was only down to 1 HP, so yeah, really not a lot he can do there. Round number 15 now. Royal Signals, they've secured themselves at least a 12-3, which is a very, very dominant half. Considering the buy on this RLC side, I think it's likely it will go 13-2 unless there's a change of pace. I'd quite like to see the RLC do something different here. Maybe invest a couple of players into a mid push, maybe push into it to B. That's exactly what they're doing. They're actually trying to get aggressive into lower tunnels, have some kind of pincer over towards B. In the meantime, though, Fenris, huge plays from him over on long. The B pincer actually comes into play as well. It's only good for 1 on the lurker, but it doesn't matter. Fenris single-handedly cleaning up this round. 3 frags for him. Puts the RLC into a 1v4, and where was this kind of play earlier on? This play needed to come in when we were at a point where Royal Signals were sort of 8-2 up, and that can be your turning point. You can kind of get back into the game and try and take yourself sort of a 9-6, 8-7 half. This is when things like this needed to come in, but instead it's coming far too late. They're massively on the back foot, and well, at this point they might even throw this away. A minute for A180 to work with. He's in a 2 versus 1, and Fenris is on 13 HP. So it's definitely going to be a difficult round for him to clutch up, but especially if they're both continuing to just watch the long doors, he could definitely get a flank into play. It's the last round of the half, so there's absolutely no point in him saving. There's also no real point in him shift walking here. I know he's got time to work with, but he should know that both players are over towards long. He definitely could have run down mid, start shift walking probably when he gets to the exit of CT. That's sort of the range that the RLC should be able to hear him from. Instead, he's going to go for a slow wrap all the way around, and well, I don't think he's going to have time, especially with Fenris watching it like that. They do put their 3rd round on the board. 12-3 the Signals go. So unfortunately unable to close out the last of the half, but I think it's a very, very good half nonetheless, and yeah, they'll certainly be happy with it. Going into the second, well, the RLC, not a single player managing to get on to the double digits mark, but everyone pulling their weight, I suppose. On the Signal side, we've got a couple of standouts. Dan W, 16-8. A180, 17-7 right now. That's a huge half-time performance. Dan W as well, actually so consistent on those entries over towards B. Really integral part of the Signal's successes over towards that side of the map. Really, really nice stuff that we're seeing so far. Really good counter-strike from the Signals. Not something that that surprises me all too much. The Signals are actually a very, very good side, as we've seen previously in the Lions League. I just hope to see more of the RLC going into the second half and actually going into the second map as well. Because right now, I don't think we're seeing their best game. So it's now going to be the Signals heading over towards the T side as they're 12-3 up. Don't be fooled by the score at the top. It is the wrong way round. They do find themselves that opening frag as well. In fact, no, sorry. I'm so confused right now. No, it is actually, they find themselves that opening frag. It's the RLC that find the opening frag. There we go, switch around the other way. 2 versus 2 now, and it's Jake 1 to land the shot eventually onto Solrak. A180 now. Last alive, a 2-on-1. He's coming in from long, though, which I actually don't think they'll expect at all. They're both looking over towards short. There we go. It's looking like Jack starts to question it and actually takes the engagement. A180 just can't connect this shot, though. If he'd have found that frag, this would have been a very, very doable clutch. But now he's in a position where time is of the essence. He has to land these headshots and, well, nothing's connecting for him. Come on, that needs to be the one. No chance at all. He's having to fall right back. I mean, there's no real point in saving. Of course, it's pistol round, but there's seriously nothing he can do here. So the RLC, they do what was needed. It may be too little too late, but they've taken the pistol round. They sit 12-4 now. So the Signals, no money behind them, and therefore... Oh, what on earth? Okay, right, I was going to say no money behind them, so no investment behind them, and therefore it's a full eco. I think A180 might have gone to the toilet or gone to get a drink or something, because he seemed to come back with like 1 second left on the buy time, and actually fully invested MP7 and armor. If he can get a couple of frags with this, then fair enough, and he actually kicks things off with 1, but it means he can't buy with the rest of the team next round, so pretty mental. As the flash comes through, though, he tries to do the work, can't get any more than the 1 he was gifted at the start, and they get completely mowed down by the SMGs of the RLC. Dan W gets a dink through, actually converts the frag, so 2 kills found for them on what was kind of a full eco, I suppose. I'm still going to call it a full eco. Not the worst result, but A180 can't buy with the rest of his team. Instead, this round he's going to be forced down to effectively an SMG, maybe a FAMAS. I don't know. He won't have a helmet to go with it if that's the case, which is justifiable any other time. Oh my goodness, they're actually all ecoing around the fact that he couldn't buy. I mean, they've got enough rounds to play with to do so, but wow, that is really, really crazy. I can only assume that was a misplay, and therefore, yeah, therefore that's why they're going for this eco, because this would otherwise be their buy round. Alrighty, so going into round number 18 now. I mean, they would have had limited utility anyway. All of their players were sort of on 4,200, so it wouldn't have been the best of buys, so it's not the worst thing in the world to go for this eco, but it does mean that they throw away a round that they may not have otherwise had to. Only good for 1 right now as they're trying to wriggle their way back into this B site, but there's really no chance of it happening. The RLC will come out on top with this one. The last 2 players with the pistols trying to get some exit frags. It's actually Dan W sitting over towards T-spawn, hoping someone exit out of the tunnels, which Fenris might do exactly that, and Dan W is going to capitalise on it. They're going to continue to peek to try and trade as well, which would be really foolish considering Dan W's only got a deagle. Oh my goodness, they've given him 2 kills, and he wasn't even saving anything. There was nothing for him to save. He was purely going for exits there, and he wasn't even in a position where he could have retrieved the guns as well. He was just there to do damage and actually keep the RLC economy on a leash. Luckily, for them. A couple of the players that they lost there were players with SMGs, so the reinvestment would have probably come in anyway. But that's pretty crazy to allow 2 players to fall like that right at the end of the round. (12-6) now, Royal Signals. The gap's slowly but surely closing, as they've lost their last 3 consecutively. Means that the RLC have been able to build up a little bit of a bank as well, but with the reinvestment this round, they certainly don't have as much as they did in the last. Early mid-aggression from the RLC, for now going to be shut down. Dan W finds that opening pick onto Fenris. Solrak, Dink comes through, but he converts the frag nonetheless. 2-man advantage now as A180 extends it further with the 3rd. And again, we're kind of just back to seeing the old RLC that we saw in the first half. I was really hoping that when we saw a couple of good T rounds from them at the start here, that this would be the start of something good. But no, they've kind of just bounced right back into this one, and they're just playing this really individualistic Counter-Strike again. They're peaking things one by one. There's no support here whatsoever. There's no trade potential or anything. There's not even any support utility coming in from teammates, and they just get completely mowed down. A very nice headshot from A180 there. A nice flick just to hit the top of the head to close out that round, and the Signals put their 13th down. The RLC should be able to buy into this one. Whether they do or not is a different question, because they have actually got 3 guys that can't fully invest. They are going to do so. And again, a very bizarre investment. The economy management, not just on this side, it tends to be in the Lions League as a whole, but especially on this side, it is pretty poor. So you've got 3 players now sitting on 2k. Jack's down to 650. Fenris is down to 0. So 2 players on this side absolutely won't have money to buy into the next if/when they lose this round. But yet they've got 3 players that have actually, rather than going for the rifles, they've committed to these SMGs. It's weird. It's weird. It's like they've gone for an eco, keeping enough money to buy into this one, but they don't have enough money to buy into this one. So instead of actually in the last round having 3 AKs and a couple of SMGs and actually trying to contest the round, they kind of just threw away a load of money and ran into B. This round, they're trying to balance it out a little better. Pom-Pom investing in the scout, couple of pistols coming through. Everyone's staying around the 2k mark, though. This is definitely better economy management. But what we saw last round was very bizarre. And what it effectively did was allows the Signals to get 1 away from map point. And therefore now, with nothing to work with, the RLC are contesting the map point with their opponents. It's a weird one. Dan W opens things up. Of course, these players haven't got any Kevlar, though, so they're just going to get completely mowed down. As soon as they take a bullet, their crosshair goes sky high. They're effectively out of it. They start to regress over towards long. The kills should just come through. Stolrak should be missing these, and he's not going to miss the first. A little bit of a shaky fight onto the second, as Jake 1 actually falls back with that Mac 10. But it doesn't really matter. His teammates have done what was needed, and now he's left in a 1 versus 5. Everyone converging around his spot, and he isn't going to last a whole lot longer. The spray from Dan W, whilst it's a little bit shaky, does come through, and the Royal Signals put themselves onto match point. 15-6 now on Dust 2. The buy will be able to come through from the RLC, but we need to see perfect Counter-Strike back-to-back for 9 rounds for them to be able to make this one work. And that's a very, very tall order, especially for a side that haven't really been performing on this map at all. It's interesting to see as well in this second half, the big guns on the CT side really pulling away. A180 and Dan W, I think we're sitting on 24 and 26 frags, which is mental considering a couple of their teammates are actually still on single digits. Really, really huge performance from them. Right now, we've just jumped. There's been a big jump, and we're in a 1v1. Pom-Pom now versus Phased to try and clutch out the map. The defuse is going to be there, but oh my goodness, Pom-Pom, he's right out in the open. He's got no bullets left in the gun. He should have just been taken out there, but it's not going to happen. Phased in the meantime, though, gets the smoke on the bomb. He's going to go for the hold, and Pom-Pom can only fire off the AWP shots, and if he doesn't get lucky and connect it, it's going to be all over. He's aiming in the complete wrong place, and the Signals, 16-6, they take map number 1. Very, very convincing win indeed, and really, to add insult to injury, a ninja defuse coming in right at the end. So, I can't really say it's a surprising result. I think the Signals are definitely the better team coming into that one, but it was very, very dominant. I think the RLC kept it competitive towards the start, but they just couldn't really do anything going into that second half and the later stages of the first. And yeah, it was just an unfortunate loss for them. We're going to jump to a quick break, and then we'll be joining you with map number 2, where hopefully the RLC can bring a little bit more into it and keep this series competitive. Hopefully we go the full distance, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll be back in a mo, folks. Welcome back, folks. We're going straight into map number 2. No delay this time. We're straight into the game, kicking off with round number 1. The Royal Signals starting off over on the T side, where they've actually opted to get a fair amount of utility. We're seeing the same on the RLC side as well. This is quite bizarre. 5 players on the server with no Kevlar and instead just with that utility. And well, that can be very, very dangerous as a CT player because the spammability of that Glock is pretty nuts. And if you get tagged up, you've got no Kevlar, it really causes you a lot of problems. This is okay. Alrighty, I quite like that. I quite like that from the Signals. Take the apartment's control as a unit, make sure it's clear and there's no one close boiler that's going to cause you any problems whilst you're setting up for your smokes. Then fall back to second mid and actually set up for your execute. In the meantime, Dan W is trying to make the B site take convincing. You need to actually push in and realistically find a kill here to really make sure that they pull a rotation over. For now, though, it seems to be working. Oh my goodness, they've actually rotated everyone over. That is absolutely nuts. A180 is going to be allowed a free kill here onto Pom Pom. They're allowed a free bomb site. This was a very smart play, but I'm very, very surprised that the RLC, off of one player, which was Dan W, that just kind of threw a smoke and a flash, they actually fully rotated towards the B site. That's pretty mental. Yeah, they're just getting picked apart now. A180 gets himself another. It is traded out, but very little HP and very little time for them to come in, find 3 kills and get the bomb defused. It's just not going to happen. Solrak lands himself a headshot, should be able to finish off the second as well. And, well, the Signals come into map number 2 with convincing fashion, show that they are set up and ready for this map. And, yeah, take the pistol round with ease. So, 3 kills for A180, 2 for Solrak. They won't be too unhappy with that one. Fenris, the only man on the CT side, putting up a couple of numbers in that round. He's actually surprised me a fair amount in this series. He seems to be quite the playmaker in certain scenarios. Gets aggressive into second mid. Could have easily caught off a Signals player there, but well, overwhelmed by the sheer masses of them. And they're actually going for this take again, where they push into the apartments, they take the control, then they aggress elsewhere. The issue is actually the whole point of that, I'm sure, is to make sure that you don't get punished whilst you're setting up for your nades or something, but instead they just make their position known, they allow the rotations to come through, and then they push up through brackets. It's kind of a weird one. I suppose it means they don't have to worry about apartments now in the post plant. It kind of makes sense, but you can do that by just putting one player in the apartments and kind of just clearing that out, maybe 2, and then you can push the other 3 through the brackets and take those early engagements. This is actually quite a dangerous round now, as the rotations came through so quickly. They were able to find 2 kills on the entry. Now a 2 versus 2 for them to try and clutch up. Richard does actually get himself the first, but it's Pom Pom and a 1-on-2 to try and finish this one off, and he gets mowed down by FaZe. 2 rounds now on the board for the Signals. That round not going quite the way I expected, but they still come out on top and they keep 2 alive. Plenty of money gained as well with those kills with the SMGs, so nice economic buffer behind them. And actually knowing that they're up against the pistols, they're going to keep those 2 MAC-10s. Drop one over towards Dan W. Richard's going to buy himself an AK. They're going to be left with 3 AKs, 2 MAC-10s to work with. This should certainly be sufficient. The only fear is if they actually walk onto this B site stack. There's 3 players over towards the B site. A couple of them have got upgraded pistols, so they could definitely do some damage. For now, the Signals just playing this slow default. They've got a player over. In fact, they've got 2 players over towards top banana. The smoke goes through, and it's looking like they might actually commit to be here. Yeah, Bomb starts to walk up. Solrak's done some damage over towards apartments. Should be able to finish off Pom Pom. Does exactly that, but it's kind of too late for his teammates to rotate at this point. They're actually committing to this B site. Jack's open 1 up. This would be quite foolish to continue to walk in here. They know there's at least 2 players. Surely you'd expect a rotation to be drawn, and there we go. They're going to start rotating back over towards A. Fenris has got himself a nice wraparound and actually takes the man advantage. Retrieves himself an AK-2. They've now got some tools to work with. They've got a man advantage to work with. Fenris has jammily got himself down to the pit. Timing works out perfectly for him. We should really be watching him here, but instead we're watching Richard, who does come out on top with a frag. This should still be a clean round for the Signals, but Jack finds one back. They're doing so much damage here. This was a full eco. That was absolutely mental. A 360 from Jack there to find that one. And now we're in a 2-on-2. They've got a couple of guns to work with. They still shouldn't be able to come out on top. They've got no Kevlar here, but well, they've done a huge amount of damage for an eco. And all things considered, that's not a terrible round for the RLC. The issue is it's all well and good them putting up some kills in these rounds, but well, they need to start converting some of them. Right now, as we go into round number 4, they are going to be able to pull out a full buy, the first of the half. They're 3-0 down, second map. They took a dire loss in the first. I think it was something like a 16-5 or something. So, yeah, really not good. Morale's got to be low coming into this map number 2, and they need to start putting some rounds on the board early on. Let's try and give them a little bit of boost. A little bit of momentum. This first buy round would definitely be a good opportunity for it. Instead, they've actually expended a lot of utility, not really done a whole lot of damage with it, and given up a huge amount of control. So, right now, Phased can be the distraction player over towards A, keep those 3 guys busy. Whilst the others just continue to poke at this B bomb site. Bomb's been retrieved, looking like he is going to head over towards B. Salamander behind the pillar here should be able to do some damage. He gets himself one. For now, untradeable as well. The double peek didn't come through. The flash is going to be good, and he might be able to find himself one more. He's able to do exactly that. This is perfect from Salamander. Gives them a 2-man advantage, and as the clock winds down, the pressure's on for the players to get onto this A site. But they've not actually cleared out any of the angles. They've kind of walked on and half expected it to just be empty. That scenario, you have to be clearing pit, and really a huge problem for the Signals right now is the lack of utility they have. They have a Molotov, they have a nade, they can clear pit there, but they don't, and therefore 5 versus 2, make it a 4-on-2 as Solrek finds one back, but with 20 seconds on the clock, they've got no time to do anything here. I think this is just going to be a save call. Oh, very nice flick from A180. But yeah, still no time. It's going to be a free round for the RLC. This is such a bizarre one. They've actually had to do very little. Like, Salamander found a couple of kills as they pushed into B initially, and that's it. That's just the round said and done. The Signals just waited far too long. They didn't respond off of it at all, and yeah, really bizarre round to throw away, actually. The Signals have got the cash to buy into this one, so it's not going to be all too problematic. Richard is just down to a deagle, but everyone else, plenty of utility, the rifles, and AWP on A180 as well for them to work with, who he's actually been really, really good with the AWP so far this series. He's currently sitting 8-2 as well, so yeah, really, really stellar performance from him. It's looking like they're going back to Old Faithful. Stop trying to do these slow defaults, when actually you can just aggress onto A and just win your aim duels, and that's exactly what they're doing. A lot of damage being dealt through that smoke, no kills as of yet, and I'd like to see some more team play. Richard, he's just swung short by himself, no flash from his teammates, no support there as well, so he gets taken out. There's no trade potential. Counter-Strike, it's a trading game. In these scenarios, if you lose a guy, there needs to be someone there to trade it out, or actually if someone's going for an ambitious peak like that, there needs to be a teammate there to support. That's why you have support players and you have the entry fraggers, and it means that actually the support can throw a flash over and then the entry can peak, and it's all about giving your teammates the best possible position for them to find themselves a frag. And well, right now they're just playing one by one. Very much what we saw from the RLC in the first map. It's certainly going to cost them. Solrak now, 15 HP, right back in T-spawn, wanting to save this round, wants to bring that AK into the next. It's not really going to do a whole lot, though, to be honest, because, yeah, no one else on his team is going to be able to buy. So him having this AK isn't going to make a lot of difference. I can see what Jack was trying to do there. It's quite a lame attempt at it. If he'd have held both mouse clickers there, it would have reached the door. Of course, a right click doing a little underarm throw, left click doing a big overarm throw, and then if you press both, it kind of does this like in the middle kind of throw. That would have reached the door perfectly, but this point doesn't matter all too much. Solrak brings the AK into the next round. The issue is, though, is realistically his teammates need to force it, because him going for this save means that his teammates are on eco here. They will be able to buy into the next if they stay around the cash they're on, because they've got the loss bonus behind them. This will be a 3-round loss bonus in this round. But he won't have anything, because he saved in the last, so he had no cash bonus. If he dies right now with this AK, which is looking like that's exactly what's going to happen, somehow the AWP actually misses, but I can't imagine he stays alive in this round, especially as his teammates are falling like flies. He actually won't be able to invest into the next with the rest of his team. So in that last round, it would have actually been smart of him to literally just run in and die, because now there's a minute 20 and he has to save here. If he wants to buy next, if he wants to have a gun next round, he has to save. But I don't think the RLC are going to let him. They're already closing in on his position. It's a huge mistake from the Signals right now, and the only way for Solrak to get out of it is for him to fight his way out. He's done exactly that, found himself the first kill. Unfortunately, no bomb on his back. If he did, might even be able to plant it on A right now, but Jake1 should be able to find this frag. Does exactly that. Free kill for him. Solrak, no money coming in to round number 6. So, well, it should be a buy for the Signals. Bearing in mind what we saw earlier on, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually eco here, just because Solrak can't afford to buy, which would be mental. That would be such a huge mistake, and actually a round completely thrown away. Is that... Oh my goodness. Okay, so that's what they're doing, but Solrak's bought a deagle and Kevlar and a helmet, so I'm not even sure if he'll have enough to pull out a proper buy next round. They haven't got a 5-round loss bonus. There's only a 4-round loss bonus. So with 1100 behind him, he's not even going to have enough to pull out a full buy next round. This is such bizarre economy management, and it's something that I talk about all the time in the Lions League, that these teams, they spend so much time on the practice servers, and you see these really, really sort of pro-tier executes come into play. But they need to work on their finer details as well, like this economy management, like making sure that they know exactly how much money they're getting every round and how much money they need to be saving on some of these force buys to ensure that they can buy into the next. Because, I mean, this investment right now is just a complete waste. They've been completely shut down. They've stacked up towards Banana as if they were expecting to overwhelm it, but they didn't fast pace push into Banana. They just kind of stacked up in, they just got completely mowed down. Now they're in a position where it's a 4-on-2. Richard is on 18 HP. Really very little they can do in this round. Their options are really, really limited, and actually Fenris just wants to flash through the smoke and try and get this over and done with. Very bizarre from the Signals. After seeing such a fantastic performance from them on Dust 2, to see mistakes like this is quite odd. Very nice shot from Phased. Opens up an avenue onto the B-bomb site, but as Fenris is still here causing trouble, Richard with the bomb and 18 HP behind him has a tall order on his hands to find this frag and actually get that bomb down, as Fenris seems to be pretty clueless right now as to where Richard's gone. He might be able to find it, but the timing just isn't quite there, and now he's got to land the shot on the running player who's full HP. Instead, walks onto the site, goes for the plant. I'm not sure if he's got this in time, you know. He just about does. That's a result in a situation like that. 1 versus 3, 18 HP to actually get that bomb down is huge. ROC second-guessed the fact that it was A for a while there. They should just be able to retake this with ease, but either way, nice bit of bonus cash there for him and his teammates, and he might be able to find himself a kill. Not going to happen. Fenris finishes him off, but they really shouldn't have allowed the bomb to go down there, and it all just comes down to really, really poor timing for Fenris. Either way, the RLC put themselves ahead for what I believe is actually the first time this series. And the Signals, they need to step up their game if they want to pull this one off. This is, of course, going to be their buy round. With that bomb plant, Solrak will have enough money to buy into this one. If he didn't get that bomb plant down, he literally would have had enough money for an AK and armor and like no utility whatsoever. So It's actually very, very important that that buy went down just so that he has a proper buy going into this one. Now they can start to contest here. Early nade damage comes through, not only forces Pom Pom off the angle, but actually gets him tagged right down to 8 HP, which is not where you want to be. It's your team's primary AWPer right now. I mean, you tend to throw the AWP to the low HP player, so it's not too much of a deficit. If he can put himself in a tight angle, maybe a head angle, then he might be able to get himself something and still work with that AWP. It's definitely the weapon you want when you're low HP, but realistically, you don't want to be taking that much damage early on. Either way, lucky to get away with his life as the signals now slowly work their way over towards A. Applying a lot of pressure onto the RLC right now as they're wrapping him from both sides, but Fenris, how on earth has he done that? He's found himself the first, got the second while dropping as well. That's absolutely nuts. Now a 3 versus 2. It's Phased and Dan W to try and clutch this one up for the signals. It really feels like these last couple of rounds, they've been on the back foot. Even in these scenarios right now where they've actually got the bomb down, Pom Pom finds himself the first, Salamander with the second, and a very, very clean retake from the RLC. They take the 5th round. They decimate the Royal Signals buy up. The Signals, off of the back of this 5-round loss bonus, will actually be able to buy into this next as well, especially with that bomb plant. But things really starting to not go their way. They've lost 5 consecutive. Interesting to see no AWP investment. Richard could have bought one and dropped it over to A180. Instead chooses not to. They all just go for the rifles right now. Looking at the scoreboard, Dan W sitting on 1 frag. He was one of the big players coming into the last. He was putting up the numbers. It seems that in his absence, they're struggling a lot. A lot of early nade damage being dealt by Jack. I was casting recently and my co-caster talked about there being somewhat of a red box on that corner of Banana on B site Inferno where you just can't stand because you either get spammed through the wall, you get spammed with nades, and it's just no man's land. You just can't stand on that corner, otherwise you get punished for it. And that's exactly what happens there. Jack gets nade stacked down to 27, and oh, he's made easy work of by a single bullet of Dan W. The Molotov comes through onto New Box. Now Salamander has to fight to get out, and well, he gets taken down. His teammates, in the meantime, actually find themselves 2 quick kills through the smoke, leveling things out into a 3-on-3. And Fenris, he's got an angle to work with, and he actually converts the frag onto Dan W. A man advantage now for them to work with as they continue to aggress for this retake. Jake 1 finds himself 1 more through Banana. And A180, well, he has to work his way out of this 1v3. He's good for 1, but traded out by Fenris. And the RLC looking a lot stronger in this map. We might even be going to a 3rd at this point. The pause comes through. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a tactical from the Signals. Nothing really going their way right now. They seem to be really struggling, actually. We saw really coordinated Counter-Strike from them. Earlier on in the game, we actually saw some really good plays, even though what we saw in the pistol round was then kind of like repeated, and effectively what they were going for was just a lot of early A aggression. It worked out for them. They were clearing out the apartments, they'd then set up their smokes on A, and they'd execute it. Whereas now, I'm watching the game, and I can't even tell you what they're doing. They're just playing individually, trying to get picks, and they're just losing their 1v1 aim duels. Eventually, they get onto a bomb site, but it tends to be with a man deficit, and actually they just can't close out the round. As soon as a retake comes through, they just crumble. So whilst they're not really having trouble getting onto the bomb sites themselves, they need to make sure that they get onto the bomb sites with the numbers necessary to close out the round. And actually, in the post-plant situation, they've got these crossfires so that as players, they're supporting each other, and they can actually finish it off, because
I don't know what to tell you right now. In these scenarios, it's like a 2 versus 2. The retake comes through and they just all fall apart. They're not supporting each other at all. There's no crossfire, nothing like that. They just get picked off one by one. So definitely something they need to work on. And well, they haven't got many rounds left to do so. 5 left of this half for them to try and claw their way back into this one and have a decent round line at the end of the first here. This pause definitely taking its sweet time. Finally, the unpause comes through. Still unsure on whether it was of a technical or tactical nature. Either way, it gives the signals some time to talk things over and actually gives the RLC some time as well to try and predict what the signals are going to do coming into this one. This is, of course, a buy round for them. So can I be seeing much of the same, though? No real group play. They're just going for this slow early default where realistically, when you go for this default, you need to be keeping players alive. And as I said earlier on Dust 2, poking holes in the defenses, trying to actually gain some control, and then later on converging as a group and hitting a site. Instead, they go for this slow default, but they overcommit, lose these 1v1 duels with just no trade potential whatsoever, and end up just dropping the numbers. We're seeing 2 players stacked up over towards top banana, 2 in apartments. The bomb's just sitting bottom mid. Actually on the back of A180, and Salamander with this aggression should be able to get himself both. That's exactly what happens. No trade can come through. Jake One's found one onto Dan W as well. The signals, what on earth are they doing? This is just a completely different side right now. They are falling apart. Solrak, again, the lone man. Gun actually being thrown at the map, but that's anticipating that A180 doesn't have a gun here, which obviously he does. Doesn't really matter all too much, just a bizarre play. A180 now to 1 versus 5 then, with that AWP on his back. 20 seconds left, he's got the bomb as well, but there's absolutely nothing he can do here. He just needs to save that AWP, bring it into the next round. I'm very surprised he hasn't even rotated all the way back to the T-spawn. He's actually very exposed, and he's just very lucky that the RLC aren't hunting for him. Bearing in mind there's like 5 seconds on the clock. The fact that they're still holding the angles, expecting him to push site is pretty crazy. I would have really expected them to hunt for him earlier. They're all sitting on or around, like on or above 10k, so it definitely would have been the right call to just aggress a little bit there and take that kill. But yeah, either way, they take the 7th round. So we go into number 11 now. They're 7-3 up. Not really a whole lot for the Royal Signals to work with either. A nice flash over towards banana, but it's somewhat already taken the banana control, and very rarely do the RLC contest this corner. This would be a smoke that covers CT. The flash goes over, and they should push in through this. That's exactly what they do. Flash goes over the house as well. Damage being dealt by A180. Can't convert the kill though, but the rifle should be able to pick up the pieces. That's exactly what they do. Richard and Dan W find the openers onto the site. A man advantage now, and the B site gained. The retake coming through for the RLC. They've been very, very successful on their retakes so far. Looking like they might try and go for a boost here as well. That's exactly what they do, but as the smoke starts to fade, he's going to be right out in the open, and it costs him. Pom-Pom falls, 4 on 2, make that a 4 on 1, and a 4 on nothing as FaZe closes out that final one. The Signals find their footing. They've put their 4th on the board, finally. After taking a 3-0 lead, they find themselves 7-3 down. Hopefully, this is a turning point for them. They start putting some more rounds up and end up having a decent half, at least for their sake. For all you Counter-Strike fanatics watching from home, any of you RLC fans, of course, you'll be hoping the complete opposite. I'm very surprised, though, that after their very, very dominating performance on Dust 2, they've come into this one and they seem to be struggling. I thought they would just come in and be very, very confident. That tends to be what you see from a side like this. After a round like that, you go in, you're super, super confident. You take all your Angels, you win all your Angels. Whereas right now, they're playing really, really passive, and it seems to be costing them quite a lot. They have taken the man advantage going into this one, and actually quite a lot of control over towards A as well, as they seem to have somewhat of a wraparound. Dan W might not be expecting Jake 1 here, but it doesn't really matter. He finds a kill anyway. In the meantime, Jack finds one over towards B. It's definitely the right call to rotate the bomb back to A, especially with that second kill coming through for Solrak. That's exactly what they're going to do. Now, right now, what I want to see from the RLC... Well, actually, no, that's not what I want to see. I was going to say an early save call. In these scenarios, you should really, really go for an early save call. However, they've got enough money behind them that I think it's absolutely justified to push in and just try and find a couple of frags here. Maybe try and find an exit. And therefore, chip away at the money of your opponents. It seems like that's exactly what they're doing. Quite smart stuff from the RLC. You've actually got Jack just holding on the other side of the archway in case anyone tries to exit through CT. Femris doing the same over towards the mid and the apartments. Might be able to actually catch this. Sorper deals a whole load of damage. Why is he re-peeking? Oh my goodness, A180 playing a very dangerous game. He actually finds the frag, but dies to the bomb. The AWP is going to be retrieved for Dan W, but... Wow, to re-swing in that scenario? Very, very ambitious. I think this will be... Yeah, this has to be the final buy for the RLC. I mean, if they end up losing this round, but they save a couple of weapons, then they could definitely buy into the next, because it's only really Salamander and Jake that can't afford to. If they lose all the players here, I think they'll struggle to buy into the next. Either way, the Signals have definitely crushed that huge economy of the RLC. I mean, a lot of the players are sitting on like 10, 11k. Femris the man to open things up this round though, and I spammed through the smoke because he saw the boost come through. They can just play the waiting game right now. They've got the man advantage. 3 players stacked over towards A, 2 on the B site with a nice crossfire setup. It's an A to come through though. This rotation needs to come in. It needs to come in fast from Femris. The utility can't hold off these Ts for too long. The smoke might do so though, and actually it's all a big bamboozle. Off the back of the counter utility coming through, they're going to rotate over towards the A site, try and catch off these CTs. He spotted an arm. This should be a free kill for A180. Oh my goodness, he does the damage but can't convert it. This would be smart for them to go back to A now. They've done the big fake. They've drawn the rotation over. Instead, they're actually choosing to commit to it. Solrak gets 1, but can't convert the second. It's still a man disadvantage. There we go. A180 comes through with the crucial AWP shot. CT smoke. Well, there seems to be a huge gap in it. A180 doesn't care. He's popped a head straight through it. Now a 2 versus 2 for them to work with. He's going to go for this bomb plant on the other side of the fountain. Not your typical bomb plant, but... Oh, it is actually going to cost him as Pom-Pom catches him on the crossover towards Nubox. It's all on FaZe now in a 2 versus 1 to try and clutch out this one. 35 HP behind him. Pom-Pom is low, so if he can find that initial frag, brings it into a 1-on-1, and he's got a lot of chance. For now, they're unaware of his position, but as they start to clear out all the boxes on site. They'll know exactly where he is. There we go. Cleared out all the positions. They know he has to be in ruins right now, but he's actually come up from CT. FaZe finds the first. There is time on the defuse, though, as Pom Pom trades it out, gets on the bomb, and 8th round will go in the favour of the RLC. The AWP will be retrieved as well. So, finally, the RLC bounce back, put another round on the board. In the meantime, the Signals have built up quite a substantial bank, so they are able to fully invest back into this one, but this will be the last one for them. So if they do lose this round, they'll be on a pretty shabby bye going into the final one. Especially after they've just strung a couple together in a row. They don't really have a loss bonus anymore. Early progress over towards the banana. Dan W. Very nice boost to take out Salamander there. Isolates Jack all alone on this B site. And for some reason, despite he's the last man standing, the B anchor that has to either stay alive for the rotations to come through or actually get himself at least a frag and then stay alive. He is right out in the open and just gets completely punished. So 5 versus 3 now. The retake's got to come through on the B side. Plenty of utility for the T side to just continue to delay the retake, though. So this is going to be near impossible for the RLC. They really have to pull something magical off here. Otherwise, this is going to be a 6th round for the Signals and another bank breaker. The flash comes over for Jake 1. Wants to try and use a bit of initiative, find himself an opener. Does get himself 1 onto Dan W, but that bomb is ticking away. Needs to find more. That actually lands another very nice headshot. Fenris finds one of his own, but they're not allowed any more than that. 6 on the board now for the Signals. A broken bank for the RLC, and it means that this T side should be able to convert this into an 8-7 half, which, considering they were 7-3 down, is actually a pretty big result for them. Round number 15 is really going to be a table turner. If the RLC somehow pull this one off, they go 9-6, they win the pistol round. They could definitely do very, very well here going into the second half. If they don't, though, they lose this round, they lose the pistol, we level out 8-8. Signals pull off a couple of rounds off the back of it. We could definitely see a 2-0 series here. They're looking a lot stronger after their hiccup earlier on. They seem to have bounced back pretty strong. It all just comes down to how strong their CT side of Inferno is, and actually how strong the T side of Inferno is for the RLC, because with all of this coming through, the RLC could just head onto the T side and they could just be completely abysmal. So it comes down to many factors, and one of those factors is whether Richard can continue doing those headshot spams through the smokes like he did this round. Very, very nice opener from him. Salamander bouncing back with one of his own, but well, he can't be allowed a whole lot more than that. And despite Richard actually getting tagged down super low, A180 is there to support him and make sure that he denies the opponents that frag and tallies up his a little further. He's coming through onto Jake, not actually dealing any damage though. They landed incredibly close to him, so I'm unsure how they didn't do any damage. That's just Counter-Strike nades for you, to be honest. Oh my goodness, A180, that was crisp. Looking for this second, they will be able to find it. The Royal Signals, they do put themselves 8-7 right now, keeping 4 alive in that last round as well. So actually relatively convincing stuff from them in the closing rounds of that first half. Especially after being 7-3 down. So, second half nearly underway. 8-7 scoreline. This pistol round going to prove to be quite important. And I would have liked to see a little bit more Kevlar on this CT side. We saw this in the first half as well, from the RLC, where they just didn't opt for any Kevlar whatsoever. Well, hardly any Kevlar whatsoever. I think they had two players with Kevlar, the rest with utility and a kit. It's not something you see ever at a pro level, especially against the Glocks. It's just too risky. Solrak early on takes an early engagement, and he could probably continue to contest that kill, but with no Kevlar, knows as soon as that player turns around, he is just going to get spammed away, and his crosshair is going to go sky high, so he has to fall away off the back of not finding that headshot, which is rather unfortunate. The RLC just continue to spread around the map, take some control. It's looking like they are going to hit over towards the A site, where there's actually only 2 CTs waiting, because for some reason Richards rotated to B off of the back of literally nothing. A lot of utility being thrown over on A now. The rotation is going to come back through, but definitely too late. Solrak needs to stay alive here. He's found himself one, but there we go. He gets completely mowed down. He's going to fall. 4 versus 4 now. Lots of damage being dealt for both sides, in fact, but it's definitely the RLC coming out on top. As Dan W levels things out a little bit, brings it into a 3-on-2. Jake 1 and Pom Pom are also very, very low, so this is absolutely doable, especially with the kit on the back of A180. They just need to make sure they actually speed this one up and continue to apply the pressure. Pom Pom at a perfect angle, just showing his head, which is exactly where you want to be when you're sitting on 40 HP. It's A180 now, last alive though. A 2 versus 1, he has got the kit to work with, but he still needs to speed this up. I don't know why he's shift walking around long. The bomb is very, very far gone. He's got 2 kills to find, and I don't know what he's doing here. He walks in very, very late. I don't get that at all. Either way, it doesn't matter. The RLC take the pistol round. So full SMG by now for the RLC to work with. It's Femris finding a load of kills through straight away with these Mac 10s, and actually, yeah, they just completely clean up here. They make themselves loads of money as well, a nice $600 per kill bonus for the kills with those Mac 10s. So really, really nice stuff for the RLC. They've established a 3-round lead now over on this T side. And the Signals, they need to bounce back. They've got an opportunity to do so. Oh, no, they don't. Okay. I was expecting the RLC to go for a bonus round here and therefore give the Signals some opportunity to buy into this one and actually convert it, and then they can test the buy round in the next. Instead, they're not going to go for the bonus. They're going to fully invest into this. The only person that hasn't got that AK out is actually Salamander. He's going to stick with that UMP. Everyone else with the AKs, and they're faced up against a very limited buy, actually, from the Signals, all things considered. So this is definitely going to be difficult for them. And if the ROC can find this round, take it 11-7, no money in the bank for the Signals. It's effectively a 2-for-1, so they take it 12-7. All they need to do is play their cards right in this round, and they can also almost secure map number 2. They head over towards this B site now. They're actually just trying to get aggressive. A flash is exactly what they need here. A flash needed to come through way earlier, and it needed to come in high to clear Dan W off of that initial position. Instead, just player running through the smoke dry with no support. Of course he's going to get shut down. Dan W, actually a perfect angle on the player through the smoke, isn't going to shoot. Instead, gets Solrak to find that kill on the other side of the map. The RLC, it was all going so well. They've really just thrown this round away. 30 seconds on the clock. They know they need to aggress, but they're just going to walk straight into the blender. Dan W's still there, and he's still hungry for frags. Salamander's going to try his luck going the other way, but I mean, by this point, they should just have it on lockdown. Oh, it's a little bit messy, but A180 does come out on top. And Pom Pom now. 15 seconds on the clock. He knows he needs to go and save here, but instead he's actually going to go for it. It's not the worst idea, because then the economy becomes really unbalanced, and actually him dying is probably better for them right now as they're going to go for an eco here anyway. So him not having that cash would just mean that he has no money. No, okay, instead... Okay, this is exactly what I mean, right? So the RLC won't have money to buy into the next round. Fenris has used all of his cash, Jake's used all of his cash, Jack's used most of his cash, and then the other two have not bought any Kevlar so that they've got enough to buy into the next, but they're not going to be buying into the next because 3 of their players can't afford to. So this is just a really, really wasted investment right now from the RLC. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And they're just pushing through smokes one by one and just being mowed down. This is really bizarre to see from a side that are currently 10-8 up and actually really want to try and hold on to these rounds. Keep applying that pressure, making sure that they have enough to actually buy up. Essentially, they've just allowed the signals to just level up 10 to 10, right? They're 10-8 up. They can fully go here. They could contest it when it's 10-9 and make it 11 to 9. And instead, they've just made some weird investment, walked straight into the blender of the signals rifle buy, and now they've got nothing to work with next round. They'll have like a couple of rifles if they choose to invest into it, but I'm very, very... I think it's very, very unlikely that they do that, and now they just allow the signals to level this one out. Look at this, Jack, Fenris, and Jake can't buy in this round. So what, the 2 players that didn't buy last round, then buy this round? Is that what's going to happen here? This is so bizarre. They didn't have to go for an eco here. They could have just ecoed in the last. Very, very weird stuff. Either way, it's going to end up leveling out 10 to 10. The RLC here, best case scenario, they get themselves a kill or 2. A bomb plant would be quite nice. I think it's very, very unlikely that they'll be able to find it. The thing is with these upgraded pistols is that when you've got no Kevlar, you just get shut down. A nice trade comes through from Jack there, baiting his teammate a little, but when you got the pistols, it's not the worst. Fenris actually opens one up as well, so they do have a man advantage to work with, and the bomb plot might actually be able to come through. The issue is the bomb's actually on the wrong side of the map. So by the time he rotates over towards A, Richard's found that kill and he's actually there to try and contest this control. The rotation's coming through as well. Jack's able to find 2 with that AK. He's the only man with the Kevlar. This could actually work out for them straight off the back of Jack buying Kevlar, which was a weird investment, but considering he has, he's now actually able to do work with that AK. Pompom's found one of his own, but with no Kevlar, it's going to be difficult for him. The bomb out in no man's land, they need to convert these frags. Dan W's there to clean things up, finds himself the first, huge damage onto the second, but he takes a lot of damage from the grenade. Jack now retrieves the bomb, runs away with it. Dan W makes a smart play not to try and contest it, and instead, he's just going to try and retake this A site. He should realise, though, that Jack's actually just taken the bomb and run for the hills. It's very unlikely that he's going to be in this area. As soon as the bomb goes down, there we go. He now knows it. He knows Jack's exact position as well. What he's got to make sure to do is not allow him to get into any kind of post-plant position. The longer he leaves this, the longer he leaves Jack to go and hide. Jack's not going to do anything, though. He's actually just going to stay on the site. He gets tagged up down to 3 HP, but it's still a 1 hit. And oh my goodness, Dan W, that's so unlucky. He's found a player on 20 HP and put 1 bullet into him for 17. That shouldn't be a round that the RLC win, but instead they somehow come out on top. That was a full eco with just 1 player buying Kevlar, and actually somehow they've completely disproven what I was saying about that was a really stupid investment from them and it didn't make any sense. They somehow make that work. That's absolutely ridiculous. A huge, huge misplay from the signals there. Really ends up costing them. This is just very odd Counter-Strike that we're seeing. It's something that's not too uncommon in the Lions League. We do see some funky stuff, but this whole series today, a lot of weird rounds going back and forth that shouldn't really be able to. An advantage for the RLC early on as they just continue to press on here. They're just against the Deagles. Actually, A180 gets himself one, but well, an audacious peek over towards Long costs him his life, as he's not going to be able to find the second onto Jack. So, still the man advantage retained for the RLC as they continue to swarm this A bomb site. Salamander almost gets done by timing, but switches back, and luckily for him, phased isn't too Christy B with that Deagle today. The issue is look at this. Solrak had a fantastic position there. Can't capitalise on it. Richard finds one, but nothing comes from it. The ROC go 12-9 right now. So as we go into round number 22, Pom Pom, very nice opening pick from him onto A180. Now I don't know at this kind of level, but at a pro level, when you tend to find that opening pick, statistically, you end up winning the round sort of 70 to 75% of the time. So that opening pick tends to be really, really integral. Solrak gets the leg through, actually finishes him off with the nade as well. In the meantime, he's been tagged down to 4 HP, but he's doing a lot of damage with this utility, and oh my, what a no-scope for him to convert. That is massive and definitely makes this retake doable for his teammates. He's done a huge amount of work, but A180 and Dan W fell without really any contest. In fact, not really doing any damage either, so still a very, very tall order for FaZe and Richard to pull off. They need to find this kill onto Salamander. They do exactly that, but as Jake finds Richard, a 2 versus 1 now for FaZe to work with. He is going to swap out to the AK. He knows that he really needs to convert this round. As the Molotov comes through, actually tags down Jake very, very low. Milk shot comes through from Pom Pom, and the RLC put themselves onto 13. I would not have expected this. 13-9. After losing 16-5 on the first map, and they're against a team like the Signals, who are really our strongest team in the Lions League. I'm very surprised that the RLC are putting up the numbers that they're putting up right now, especially when you've got players like A180 sitting on 22 frags. Like, he is by far the top fragger on the server. There just seems to be a couple of players sort of slacking on that Royal Signals side, struggling to pick things up. Solrak sitting on 18 frags as well, which is actually higher than anyone on the RLC side too. So players performing really, really well right now, but it's just not working out for them. Fenris claims himself another. Stan W sitting close with a Zeus. And the Signals, they're going to have to let their opponents get onto 14 before they can invest again. At that point, though, we need 6 rounds in a row of perfect Counter-Strike from them. It's something that it isn't impossible for the Signals. They've shown that they are a very, very strong side and can actually just string together sort of 10 rounds in a row against the RLC. But they showed that on Dust 2, and we just haven't seen that same side on Inferno here. They've actually just been pretty weak, especially on their CT side. They've been incredibly weak on Inferno. That's really what it's come down to. I wouldn't say the RLC have been doing anything funky here on their T side. It's actually just fairly standard stuff. The Signals have just crumbled. Right now, they've got all the information. They can even see the bomb on B site, and just the rotations just haven't come through. A180 at the back of the site wants to try and just find one of these lurkers, but in the meantime, Solrak's going to fall, and nothing is going to come of this whatsoever. They just get picked off one by one. Phased in a position where maybe he could get a kill with this Deagle. Yeah, he gets himself one, actually two. They do a fair amount of damage. The bomb has to go down right here, right now. It actually gets down just in time. This round definitely comes closer than it should have. But does A180 have any chance of clutching this? I don't think so. Straight into Jack here, gets taken out. Easy pickings to the RLC. They definitely took more casualties than they should have. But they still managed to convert the round with relative ease. And actually the casualties at this point doesn't really matter too much. Having to reinvest doesn't really cause them any problems. They've got plenty of money behind them, so it will just be a full reinvestment of the rifles and an AWP on pom-pom. The Signals, if they want to close this one out in regulation, we need 6 straight rounds of perfect Counter-Strike. In fact, no, we need 7. We need 7 straight rounds of perfect Counter-Strike. 6 to obviously secure that OT. I wouldn't be surprised if we go to a third map here, which if you'd have said to me at the start of this series, or if you'd have said to me at the start of this map we were going to a third map, I would have laughed in your face. I'd have said absolutely no chance. The Signals, very, very strong side, especially after that Dust 2 game. They were looking very, very hot. Looking like they could just walk into any match against any team in the Lions League and just completely steamroll it. But, well, they're just falling apart here. Fenris, again, just allowed to walk up brackets, find that opening pick. It is actually traded, but it goes right back the other way. Dan W overstays his welcome for some reason. Rather than just accepting that he's actually got the trade, it's a 4-on-4, now pull back. It allows it to go straight back the other way. FaZe finds himself 1, so they're no longer on the back foot. It really needs to be Richard to find something here. He's in short. He's the only man that actually has some potential to either deny the plant or get himself this opening pick. He does exactly that, looking for the player in pit as well. But that's really ambitious, but he actually comes out on top. That was so ridiculous for him to jump up on top there and try and convert that one onto mini pit. He's got the angle, finds himself the third as well. Actually a very, very nice round from Richard, able to pick up the pieces there. FaZe with the kit gets the defuse in, and the Signals put themselves onto double digits. That round was looking very, very dangerous. If Richard hadn't have found that second frag onto the player in pit, it certainly could have gone the other way. In fact, it probably would have gone the other way. Luckily for him, he converts all 3, does the work that's needed, and puts the Signals on 10. A full investment now for the RLC. And actually, if they lose this one, the Signals can go on to 12. So this is... it's not quite do or die yet, but the RLC really want to be winning this one, because if they do so, then they should just be able to close it out 16-10. If they don't, then yeah, it goes 14-12 before they can pull out another buy, unless they go for some kind of stupid force, which I think is very ill-advised at this point. 2 early picks coming through as well for World Signals. Make that 3 as Dan W finds another. This isn't going well for the RLC at all. The Signals seem to have some kind of lifeline adrenaline that's kicked in where they've said, right, we need to start playing now, and they're just showing no respect whatsoever. They're actually using a bit of initiative, getting a little bit aggressive, trying to contest those early fights, not just sitting like ducks on a bomb site and waiting to be overwhelmed. It seems to be doing them quite well. Jack's found himself 1 back, but in the meantime, A180's actually just pushed right up to Car on Banana. He's able to just trade that out instantly. And it leaves it all down to Jake 1, who's really on borrowed time here as he's round the corner. A180, never going to miss that shot. Quite a nice close reaction shot, but either way, relatively routine one. The Signals put themselves onto 11, and as long as they don't lose another eco round, which I wouldn't run it past them considering that's what they did earlier, they should be able to put themselves 14-12 right now. The RLC, they've got enough money behind them to buy into the next, but ooh. Jake 1 had 3.5k. He was the only player there that could have bought an AWP and maybe dropped it over to Pom Pom, and then they have that scoped rifle to work with in the next round. Instead, he bought a P250 and a nade, and now can't afford it all. And the investment's just done nothing for them. They've just been completely mowed down. It's actually a nice bit of investment. Out of anything. Instead, they just pincer him from Banana. They make sure the 2 players contesting top Banana as well don't get aggressive for that control. They hold out until the nade stack comes through. So a really nice counter strat. They've actually played that situation really, really well. So, despite the fact that they go there, they definitely could have had full rifles. They could have had an AWP on Jake 1 that could have been dropped over towards Fenris or Pom Pom, and instead they invested a couple of pistols and a couple of grenades. It means that Jack's down to a Galil, Fenris is on a scout and limited utility on the rest. This really isn't too great. Pom Pom does find the opener though, should get traded. Solright's actually there to find the kill. but right out in the open. It gets traded right back the other way. Quite an ambitious one to do without a teammate, but I mean, that's even more ambitious. Salamander just single-handedly trying to find a pick over towards Banana when he knows his opponent has an AWP. He's never, ever going to win that gunfight, and the flash just didn't really do anything for him at all. All three players now stacking up over towards this A site. They are in the apartments, and they're probably looking to waterfall down, unless Jake 1 gets into Boiler and makes something work there. It's not looking like they're going to have much luck with it. Face has spotted out the first and the second. He's made easy work of both of them, and now it's just straight out of Boiler, completely oblivious to the fact that Richard is actually sitting under the balcony, and the Signals put themselves onto 13, force the RLC down to another eco. They go 14-14 right now. Definitely the right time to call a pause through. I can't believe the RLC have thrown this away. They were looking... Not only were they looking relatively strong, but the Signals were looking really, really weak. Their CT side was pretty atrocious, but they seem to have picked it up. They've been using quite a lot of aggression, a lot of these kind of duo plays where they try and push someone into apartments and then push someone down mid to try and take that early fight in the second mid. They've actually, against that eco round, they went for that kind of pincer that was pretty cool. This round, the ROC are actually going to invest something into it, and they've got to make sure they don't overbuy. Of course, they'll have a 5-round loss bonus going into this, so realistically, they only need to save about $1,000, maybe $1,200, and they'll be able to fully invest into the next. But by buying up these pistols and a bit of utility, it just means that they've got a chance of converting this round, and if they do so, it'd be pretty big. It wouldn't break the economy of the Signals, because the Signals right now have got plenty of money, but they just need to sort of break the momentum of some of these players. I mean, A180 is sitting on 29 kills right now, Solrak on 22. No one really comes close to A180 on the server. 29-16. Fantastic performance from him. So he continues to buy up that AWP and continues to wreak havoc with it. The Signals now just against these pistols to put themselves onto 14-14, and if they can convert it, it will be a full buy on round number 29 to contest for match point. Early nades come through, minimal damage. Actually does a little bit onto Fenris. Nice bit of aggression from Dan W, though. It didn't work out for him last round, but this round it will. Finds a free kill onto Pom Pom. There's no trade potential as long as he falls back, and actually plays that quite smart. Throws the Molotov through. That's going to isolate Salamander. That's a free kill. His teammates cannot trade that because they cannot run through the fire. They played this very, very well to take that two-man advantage. As Solrak falls, Dan W picks up the pieces, finds himself the 4th of the round. Right now he's on for the ace. I think it's unlikely he'll be able to find it, as Fenris is actually pushed right up Banana. And with the bomb down over towards Apps, it's no surprise that Fenris is actually walking onto a free B bomb site. It doesn't really mean a whole lot at this point. However, we could wrap around the back lines and catch someone out here. FaZe seems to be wise to it. Should be able to shut it down. That's exactly what he's going to do. The Signals level this one out. We're level pegging again, 14-14. The RLC will be able to buy into this one. They've got plenty of cash to do so as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see an AWP. There we go. Pom Pom whips out the AWP. It is at the detriment of no helmet and no utility, but it's an AWP nonetheless. So definitely a full investment from the RLC, but they're faced up against much of the same, except this round, Solrak's gone for an AWP as well. So a double AWP setup for the Signals to work with. One of the AWPs actually going for this mid pick as well. This can be very dangerous. When you have an AWP on Banana and an AWP peeking down mid, it can be very, very dangerous, especially when Solrak's connecting shots like that. The early man advantage going in the favour of the Signals, and as long as they don't throw this one away, they've got a very, very good chance of converting this. Solrak still, I mean, I wouldn't agree with this, but he's still peeking mid, and he's still finding frags. Converts a second there as well. They should be able to confirm right now, especially with that aggression over towards the apartments and second mid, that all three of these remaining players are in Banana. And they can just start to pincer them in. They can make sure that they secure this round. There's a nice boost here from Jake 1. But with a two-man disadvantage, they need a whole lot more than that boost to convert it. Solrak can't quite connect the shot, but Dan W's there to help out his teammate convert that one. 5 versus 2 now. A couple of players low on the Signals side. In fact, 3 players low as FaZe falls down to 20 HP as well, but they pick this one up. The Signals, look at this. 3 players in the red. but they still put themselves onto match point with 0 casualties. Not a lot of money left for the RLC as well to contest this one. This is absolutely nuts. 14-9 up they were. And they've let it slip away. The Signals have now secured overtime at the very least. And in round number 30, with a double AWP setup, 2 AKs, an M4, full utility, and full kits on all the players, they look to try and convert this 16-14 against a very limited buy from the RLC side. And of course, we do that infamous jump to the end of the round where it's a 2 versus 1. Pom actually brings it into a 1-on-1. Makes a very difficult clutch for A180. He has got a smoke on his back, so he could smoke the bomb and try and go for a defuse here, but there's no real time pressure, so he's just going to tap the bomb, apply the pressure onto Pom here. He knows that he's going to have to peek. He's got the angle on short, and he converts the frag. There we go. The Royal Signals take it 16-14. A hell of a comeback, and oh, I can't believe they've done that. 14-9 down they were, and they end up pulling back 7 in a row, take it 16-14. What a fantastic performance to take it 2-0. I mean, the RLC, they impressed me. They put up a hell of a fight. I wasn't expecting them to have that much fight in them after they went 16-5 down in the first, but, well, they took it. They took it the full distance. We went a full 30 rounds. We almost went to a third map. I can't believe that slipped away, but either way, 2-0 for the Signals, and yeah, a pretty good series all in all. I'm quite impressed with what we saw today. You tend to see, when you see the Signals match up against pretty much any team in the Lions League, it tends to be a whitewash, and they just steamroll the game, and it's not all too exciting. But that second map definitely had some good rounds in there. There were definitely some mistakes from both sides, but what was impressive is that the opposition capitalized on those mistakes. So pretty decent Counter-Strike that we saw today. Make sure you join us next week. It's not going to be Tuesday next week, though. It's going to be next Thursday due to some rescheduling with some teams. So next Thursday for more Lions League action. For tonight, that's going to be all from us. I've been M&J. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We put up some decent numbers today in the stream. And, well, I hope to see you next time. Good night, folks.